So what that apply does is it automatically determines you want this to be sort of graduated or gradient type visualization palette. What's important to know is that there's no indication from Google dataset metadata to tell you if this is a logarithmic scale, equal interval scale. You can customize if you research more about what these values mean and what is a meaningful way to measure them and compare the data. So if you do that, if you do all that research, you can come in here and basically show, okay, this is just assigned it for the minimum and maximum values within this set of data. Now, if you compared this to a different city in Europe or a different city in the US, these ranges might be different. So that's very important to know just as a general tip for any data analysis, is to understand that relationship between your min-max range of a particular subset of the full Earth, of the full data set of Earth versus your localized zone. So if I come in here and say, actually, I don't want this to be equal count, I want it to be equal interval, then we might get a different layout and a different sort of painted canvas here, if you will. So this is more of a default gradient from QGIS rather than what Google has stored. So you can look at it either way, just depending on your preference. Okay, so one last thing here to note is top layer is the most recent image. And if I want to actually see all of the different layers, you can come in here and look at this, identify features. And for the active layer, once it loads, you can actually click each of these cells individually, and it will tell you the image, the number of images that are sort of underneath that top layer. So these different IDs here are associated with date times of the start stop of every image. So whenever that tool was measuring this actual data. So if I want to play that back, you can actually come in here to your properties and apply the temporal analysis to it. And I've induced a lot of these timestamps so that you can do this. It's formatted so that you can use these tools in QGIS. So for these image collections, it will come in for Copernicus. It comes in this way where you can split it open and say this is the start stop for that image. And then when I come to playback, I can come up here to the time manager, temporal controller, and say start this at November, go to December, and step by every 6 hours. And you can notice here it takes some time to refresh every every time each image is loaded, it takes its own lag time to refresh. So the step size here can kind of compensate for that and loads a bit slower so that you're seeing hopefully a new image when it loads.